Alrighty, and you're welcome. We have our final guest with us here in the studio today. Finally, hey. Now, we have a chartered accountant with us. She's got over a decade of financial management experience. Victoria Ajayi is our Deputy Finance Director here at TVC, believe it or not. She's a fellow with the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA. She also joins us, well, right now, and we're going to be talking about something
we're just
very
talking about
interesting.
International
Way to
Women's
cut
Day.
in, but cool, no problem.
Oh, wow, you look so beautiful as
Thank
always.
you.
Great to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Now, when we talk about, I would like us to start from the International Women's Day angle, since we are not actually doing more of a profile thing alone, but we're doing you as a woman. So let's start from there. Now, when we talk about challenges women face, they are broad. So we'll not focus on challenges. But I would rather focus on solutions. So starting from you as a woman, a general subject which everyone talks about now, what is feminism to you?
I think feminism to me is about being alert that you're a woman, self-actualization actually,
Okay.
and knowing that gender parity exists. Therefore, you as a woman, as a powerful being, you're equal to the other gender. I think when people talk about feminism, a lot of people think it's just about activism, and you get that wrong. It's not about activism, but a lot of women still don't get it. For me, and that's my own definition of it, it's about just knowing how powerful you are as a woman and understanding those gender parity gaps and helping and contributing towards bridging the gap. That's it, really.
So it's one thing to acknowledge what feminism is. It's another thing to use it as a tool, as the right tool. So what exactly would it, or would you say, is relevant to use that as a tool for?
For me, I would say use it as a tool to better the nation, use it as a tool to better other women. Because why was the term coined if it's not for a greater good? And therefore, I would say, I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou is, a woman who stands up for themselves does not, for herself, is indirectly standing up for another woman. So when you stand up for your own right as a woman, you're helping other women. And for me, it's for the greater good. So, and personally, I have seen that as the years have gone by, I've chosen my path in women empowerment. And that's why I founded ACCA Women's Network Nigeria. And it's just a network of women accountants who support each other. You see,
Now,
so
it's interesting that you'd mentioned ACCA women, because I was actually going to talk about, we all know you're a financial expert. However, when we talk about female representation in your industry, what would you say about it? Is it fair enough, or you feel there's a lot lacking still?
okay, so with International Women's Day and a lot of celebration about this month being Women's Month, I must say that there's been a lot of progress. There's been a lot of progress in women taking up more roles. There's been a lot of progress in trying to close the pay gap and all of that. However, we're not doing so well in the financial sector. And a lot of studies and research has shown that, let me even start with accounting. Although you have 50% or nearly 50% of accounting graduates, so when you get into university, you have lots of women. You have nearly 50% of accounting employees. But when it comes to the leadership roles, for instance, in big four firms or medium-sized accounting firms, the partners you see are still less than 15% women. They're still, you know,
Less than
15% women,
that's low.
despite both male and female starting out together. So you begin to wonder what happens in between. When you all started off together, you have 50% representation, 50% representation on the other hand, but when you start to grow and move on in your career, you then see that there's a huge gap, you see. So
what factors are responsible for that?
Yeah.
there's a lot. So in the workplace, for instance, biological situation, you know, sets in, and women need to, you know, have a baby and all of that. So if the workplace or the organization doesn't have good policies that helps women, you know,
get reintegrated
do
into the
both.
system.
Exactly,
Yeah,
where
right
I have
after.
to nurture my child. At the same time, I have to be a professional.
Yes.
And even when they go and they come back, you know, there's not so much pressure. You know, all those sort of things. I mean, I don't want to talk about in certain countries what the maternity leave rates
Yes.
are. Like nearly a year
Yeah.
in some
Even
places.
in Lagos state government, it's now about 6 months.
Okay,
for
so that's,
women.
you know, that's great. So
for the
those are the
government.
things that help. That time, men are still in a race. And
Yeah.
if opportunities come up,
They
the
snap
men
it
move
up.
forward.
Yeah.
So it's like a race.
So now
You
I-
drop out, and the others continue to run.
running,
Yes.
yeah. So I understand that now. But how are we doing here at TVC?
Okay.
Put me on the spot.
So TVC, we're very conscious about it, and perhaps because we have some of us women leaders who are particularly conscious about it. The CEO has decided, and alongside with other management team, that we will try to achieve a 50-50 balance.
Balance, yes.
And it's hard sometimes, but we're going to try to do that, which is why we've inaugurated the TVC Women's Network yesterday.
To which I
Yes.
wasn't invited, but it's okay.
Why would you? Are you a woman?
What were you going to say, Mary, really?
Do you want me to get started on you? It's all about Victoria now.
So yeah, the representation isn't that great. Let's even move away from accounting. Let's look at private equity firms, the investment side of things. Let's look at hedge funds and venture capitalist firms. It's just 15% representation of women. And if you look at just generally leadership position in the financial services sector, you only have about 25% representation of women.
Oh, wow.
You know, in the entire financial services sector. So there is a lot to be done. Whilst women are getting more education now, whilst women are doing greater things because there's better enlightenment, in financial services we're still
bit
lacking behind. So yeah, there's a gap there, and hopefully, you know, we can catch up with lots of talks like this and various other strategies that we can advise women to.
However, Victoria, you know, most times when we talk about such issues, the first thing that people talk about is women empowerment. Like, let's empower the women and everything will be all right with the world. But do you really think that is a solution? Or is it that the empowerment programs are not being done right?
Okay. So the word empowerment and women empowerment is almost sounding cliche.
Yes.
Because everyone just uses it. But I stuck to the fact that on my profile on LinkedIn, you'd see that I put women's empowerment there because I know the way I empower women. I read a book a while ago, and it broke down empowerment, because empowerment, the definition is wide. It's huge. So it's everyone can interpret it in whatever way they want to. But I stuck to this interpretation where they divvied up empowerment into 5 categories. And they had said, look, there's psychological empowerment, there's social empowerment, there's economic empowerment, there's, which other one exists? But economic empowerment to me, there's educational empowerment. So there were about 5. And I thought, okay, of this 5, there's political empowerment. So if you look at political, psychological, economical, educational, and social, for me, I chose economical, which is also financial empowerment. And the reason I chose economical is because as much as education is powerful, right? And we say education is best, I'm educated, you know. We're doing well in education in some other areas. I mean, in the Ivy Leagues, even Harvard released a study where the women representation in Ivy League schools, and particularly in their school, was a lot. It was almost the same, sometimes even more than the men.
Yeah.
But when you get to the leadership positions, there's still a gap. So what's happening? Which is why I'm saying education is good, but you see, economic empowerment is a different ballgame. And with economic empowerment, it's about financial literacy. It's about educating the girl child from the early age about budgeting, savings, you know, how do you manage your money? Some of us who are educated don't even know how to manage our monies.
True.
Some male, female, we don't even know how to invest. So sometimes they say, oh, money doesn't give you happiness. Is that not what they say?
Yeah.
It can put you in crying in a nice car.
But does money give you power, I'll ask you?
In Nigeria, is that a very fair question? I think
Anywhere.
it does, doesn't it? Am I wrong?
It gives you influence.
To me,
an
money is
extent.
power.
It
Yeah.
is.
Right? And I'll use a specific example to me and my family. My grandmother on my maternal side. She raised my mom and 3 other siblings. She wasn't educationally empowered. She raised all 3 of them by being a trader. I still remember vividly Oyingbo Market. She was a big-time trader. She had a toy store. Her toy store was huge. And she used to travel to maybe neighboring countries to buy everything. She sent 4 children to school by being financially empowered. Now, she's not educationally empowered, which is why I say, look, once you empower people financially, the sky,
You've solved half of your
exactly.
problems.
There's so much
get
that
rid
I'm
of
sure that
poverty.
you would want to put in there when it comes to empowering women, especially this fine week that we find ourselves. By the way, I see what you did with the theme color for Women's Week.
Thank you.
But we have to give you a taste of what we enjoy here every single week.
Yes.
Congratulations, you make it as our last guest for this week.